Hello everyone, and welcome to today's workshop, Steps Towards Allyship. Today, we will be discussing what it means to be an ally. I will guide you through an activity to reflect on where you are within your own journey and discuss the importance of emotions throughout the allyship process. First, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Kaylee, and I will be guiding you through this workshop today. I am a second-generation settler with British, Scottish, and German lineage. I grew up on the lands of the Secwepemc, Syilx, and the Kalampamux peoples of the southern interior of British Columbia, and today I am currently recording this workshop from the lands of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, also known as the Esquimalt and Songhees nations, and the Wasanich peoples. It is important to recognize the continued relationship that the Indigenous peoples have with the land, and I am appreciative that I get to study here. And finally, I would like to disclose that I am not speaking for Indigenous peoples, and I recognize that I do not share the same positionality. I aim to be an active participant in the process of decolonization. It is important to recognize that being an ally is not an identity. It is not something one can label themselves. The label of ally can be given by a leader within an Indigenous community, however, it might not translate from person to person, which means one person might believe that you're taking the right actions to be an ally, however, the next person might not. And being an ally means putting words into action. Now, what do those actions look like? A good ally has humility, actively listens, has the ability to receive criticism, and takes time for self-reflection. What does humility look like? Well, one of the most important ways to be humble is understanding that you are not the expert. You may not know what to do in a certain situation, and that is okay. Understanding that mistakes are bound to happen and are part of the process, it is just how you learn from your mistakes and not let them stop you from continuing your allyship journey. And finally, do not center whiteness in your discourse. Highlight Indigenous voices. Learn how and when to support, but not overtake, Indigenous voices. The journey of allyship and solidarity are uncomfortable and unsettling. Do not let these feelings stop you from supporting Indigenous peoples. What is self-reflection? Self-reflection includes understanding and acknowledging one's social location and how they fit within the structures of their society. Self-location demonstrates how identity is ingrained in both local and global political, economic, and social systems that build the foundations of oppression, discrimination, power, and privilege. Why is it important to take time for self-reflection? Understanding one's self-location gives them the ability to see where they are situated within the structures of social privilege and power. A quote I would like to share from my research is, "White people are not required to explain to others how white culture works, because white culture is the dominant culture that sets the norms. Everybody else is then compared to that norm." And this is from Scott Cowrey's Settler Education, Acknowledgement, Self-Relocation, and Settler Ethics in Teaching and Learning on page 62. This quote demonstrates that if you cannot see a structure, then it is working in your favor. Once someone understands their own social position, they can begin to challenge the existing structures. Now, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on your own self-location and your own position in relation to Indigenous peoples and Indigenous issues. You may pause the workshop here and take a moment to write down some notes on the worksheet that is provided about some thoughts and emotions that come up during your reflection. Welcome back. I hope that self-reflection was helpful. Did any emotions come up during this self-reflection? And if so, what do you do with these emotions? It is okay to have a wide range of emotions. During the early stages of self-reflection and education, non-Indigenous people may feel a various range of emotions, such as guilt, shame, and sadness. But similar to mistakes, you cannot let these emotions be a barrier in your allyship journey. However, it is important to note that these emotions should not be the only reason as to why someone might start their allyship journey. And this is because when you do so, you're centering yourself instead of Indigenous peoples and trying to appease the guilt instead of working through it. Again, ensure that Indigenous peoples are the ones who are centered within your allyship work. Educate yourself on how to raise your voice without overpowering the Indigenous voices around you. And that brings us to the end of our workshop. Thank you to everyone who has attended. Please find some free resources and some academic articles on the following slides to support you in your allyship journey.